Hi, it's Ken Iverson again in Kent. It's still Saturday, August 28th. It's now about 5 minutes to 10 Pacific Daylight Time in the evening. It's getting cold outside. If you watch my other videos tonight, you know that I have a gripe with the housing authority where I live for not turning on the boiler, not having it ready to go. I complained about it in the middle of July, and they still haven't turned it on. So we've had a cold summer here at times in Seattle, Washington, in Kent, Washington. So let me go on with the early civil rights movement back in 63 and 64, my part, and Stanford University, Yale University's part in that movement. I had just quoted President Obama when he quoted Abraham Lincoln before the health care reform vote. We are not bound to win. We are bound to be true. That Abraham Lincoln said that. And then President Obama said several days, he said the next day, good policy is good politics. He said that in March of 2010. So those two votes, those two quotes are what I'm basing what I have to say now. We are not bound to win. We are bound to be true by Abraham Lincoln. Good policy is good politics. Barack Obama, March of 2010. And then I say to Gary, who was quoted in Facebook saying that it's time for the Southern generation, to die off and do their duty and die off and get the South into the Democratic fold once again. I said, Gary, isn't it ironic that a Southerner, LBJ, passed the acts of which you speak? And Kerry Tolan, said, actually, no, and it's Kerry with a C. I had him with a G, Gary. LBJ, like Bill Clinton and Jimmy Carter, realized that segregation and Jim Crow and racial hatred was holding the South down, a region they loved. They felt that both whites and blacks suffered because of its legacy and wanted to see it break free and embrace true democracy. And I said to Kerry, I said, LBJ was a great president. Civil Rights Acts, Medicare, and Medicaid in 1965. And Kerry said, he has flaws too. Vietnam was only one of them. I'll forgive President Johnson. He lied to us about the Gulf of Tonkin, and therefore didn't think he had a chance for a second term, and declined to run for a second term. But I'll forgive him for that because he did well in civil rights and with the Medicare and Medicaid. Those were the four landmark acts that were passed during his administration. And then I say, if JFK, John Kennedy, had not been assassinated, LBJ would never have been president. So it's JFK's and RFK's legacy as well. And then I start out, and this is where I really want to talk about tonight. It says, I was in Mississippi in late October and early November 1963, registering blacks to vote. And Kerry says, it took all of them, but without Martin mobilizing his people and pressing the issue, it never would have happened. And then Kerry says, I just saw your post. You are a hero, sir. And that's not the case. I'm not a hero. The people who are heroes are the one that we signed up to vote during that period, the ones who registered to vote in 63 in the summer of 64, because some of them were threatened with their lives. There were civil rights workers from the North, Goodwin, Cheney, and Swerner, who were killed that summer. They were beaten to death with a baseball bat. This was in 1963. That's relatively recently. And they were beaten to death. And that I didn't realize at the time. I was young and naive, I suppose. I didn't realize how dangerous it was for us to be there. I was taken off to jail several times, and it never occurred to me that they could have done to me and to my other colleagues from Stanford what they did to Swerner, Cheney, and Goodman. Anyway, Glenn Beck, if you're listening, this is what it was about. This is what it was like in 1963 and 1964, 3 months before you were even born. So don't talk to me about reclaiming the civil rights movement, because you have no idea what you're talking about. Uh, I say here, I was a white student from Stanford, and then I say in parentheses, I am still white, mentored by Allard Lowenstein, Dean of Freshman Men, or maybe Dean of Men, I don't remember. And Kerry says, you have something that you can point to with pride. Allard Lowenstein was a great soul and gone too soon from this world. We stand on your shoulders. Thank you. Allard Lowenstein was a great man. And then I say in the post on Facebook, I say other students from Yale, again mostly white, mentored by Williams, Sloan, Coffin, who were also there at that time. And Gary says, have you ever committed your memories to paper or recorded media? It's a history that we must not lose. I was too young at that time to be involved. I was in the sixth grade when Martin Luther King was shot, and but I remember that day and how I felt and how it changed the world as I saw it. It changed my day too. The four saddest days of my life as a young man was when JFK was shot, when Martin Luther King was shot, when Bobby Kennedy was shot, and when Malcolm X was shot. Those were the four saddest days, and I've had some sad days since then, but those were right up there in my political life. That was a bad, bad time. It was a stressful time for this nation, and we survived it. We're stronger for it, I think, in the long run. But who knows what would have happened if JFK had lived? He might have gotten us out of Vietnam, and we wouldn't have had the fiasco we had with Nixon and Kissinger and the rest of them. So anyway. Let's see. I don't want to go on too long. We can upload this for 15 minutes, and then we have to stop, and I'll give another segment. But let me go on. It says, I say here, the next summer, 1964, was a freedom summer. Students from Stanford and Yale spread across the South, organizing and registering blacks to vote, and many other colleges as well. Soren was from a small school, I believe Central in Washington, Central Washington College, or maybe it was Eastern, I'm not sure. But Soren, my friend Soren, who spoke at Peace Day on July 10th of 2010, just over a month and a half ago, was there in the South. I didn't know Soren at that time. We happened to meet each other, and we were just discussing what we had done with our lives up to that point, and it happened that he was in the South. I was not in the South of 64. I was in the Gambia, West Africa, with Operation Crossroads Africa, in a small place called Yundum. I spent 10 weeks there with college students, 10 or 12 college students. We were led by a Jesuit priest, Father Adrian McMullen from St. Peter's College in Jersey City, New Jersey, and he was quite a character. I love Father McMullen, and Father McMullen loved me. We had a good summer in the Gambia, and I think we did some good. I still have friends that are from the Gambia. That'll be another story for another time, though. I'm talking about the early civil rights movement now. Anyway, that I say here, that was the summer, 1964, when the three civil rights workers were murdered, beaten to death with a baseball bat. If there was any doubt we were engaged in dangerous business, there was none after Goodman, Swerner, and Cheney were killed. And Kerry Tolan says Goodman, Swerner, and Cheney. And I say Obama was 3 years old at that time. And then I say men like Aaron Henry, Harding Carter stood up and were counted. John Lewis was chairman of SNCC in 1963. We spent together, John Lewis and I spent a day together in Yazoo City, Mississippi, Senator Eastland's bailiwick. The senator was a racist and a segregationist in a day when that would get you elected in Mississippi. Fortunately, that's no longer the case. John Lewis and I spent part of the afternoon in the Yazoo City jail, not booked, but we were taken in, and they were trying to intimidate us. It said the white racist law was trying to intimidate us. They released us and told us to get out of town. And then I say we went back to the black part of town where we continued to register voters. In your face, you cracker asses. And if you're listening down in Yazoo City, and you can remember John and I and the other students who were there that day, in your face, you cracker asses. And then Kerry said something about me being a hero. I says, not a hero. There were many heroes, the blacks who registered to vote, that we signed up, and they were the heroes. I can recall one woman who was so frightened she asked us to tear up her voter registration, which we did. I mean, we didn't want anyone that scared and fearing the employer or the people she had to deal with, the white people she had to deal with. And then I say, if you knew Allard Lowenstein, you knew Dennis Sweeney, right? Okay. Dennis and I were in the same class at Stanford, 1965. We were in the same freshman dormitory, Wilbur Hall, Rinconada House. Dennis was from Oregon, I from Seattle, actually Kent, Washington, where I'm recording this right now. Dennis, during winter quarter, this is my freshman year, Dennis and my freshman year, I was elected president of Rinconada House. Dennis was secretary-treasurer. And when Allard Lowenstein was recruiting students at Stanford, Dennis Sweeney was at the front of the line. Why am I dwelling on Dennis Sweeney? Two reasons. He was in the first group to go from Stanford. I remember when they returned, they shared Mississippi with us at Cumberly Hall, a lecture hall on the Stanford campus. When I heard Dennis speak, I knew I wanted to go to Mississippi. And Dennis Sweeney was a hero of mine. He was, and he still is. Allard Lowenstein left Stanford and returned to New York State, where he was from. He ran for and was elected to the House of Representatives from New York State. And the second reason, Dennis Sweeney went to visit Allard Lowenstein at his office in New York City one afternoon. After waiting for Allard to finish what he was doing, Dennis went into Allard's office, pulled out a gun, and shot Allard dead. And then I say, and I'm having trouble right now, you cannot see me right now, there are tears in my eyes. Both of these men meant something to me. Anyway, Dennis was convinced Allard had something to do with the FBI or CIA planting electronic devices in his head to read Dennis's thoughts. I don't know if the case ever went to trial. The last I remember hearing about Dennis, he was out in a kind of work release from the mental health facility where the judge sent him, a judge mentally ill, not a murderer. And then I say he was working in a hardware store someplace in upstate New York, as I recall. Dennis, if you are still alive, I want you to know you are still one of my heroes, you and Allard Lowenstein, both of you. I moved back to Washington State 26 years ago after spending 23 years in Palo Alto, California. Our 45th reunion, Dennis's my 45th reunion, is in October of this year, 2010. I really want to go, but alas, I am poor and cannot afford the trip. I live on $720 a month and cannot see myself clear to go. I have 32 cents in my checking account to last me until September 1st, 2010. I wrote out a check for $20 yesterday, post-dated to September 1st, 2010, and have it in an envelope addressed to Derek Joseph, a Pakistani Christian pastor of a small poor church in Karachi, Pakistan. Just this moment I received from Derek what I will now paste into this comment. And I have a comment, I pasted in this message from Derek from Karachi, and it says, Dear Ken, very kind and thank you, sir. Ken, same goes. over here in Pakistan. Rulers are not up to the mark. People are depressed with poverty and hunger. Lots of people are jobless. That's why the crime ratio is high in Pakistan. But I thank God Almighty, what little we have, we are happy in that, and thank God. Thank you, Ken Iverson, August 26th at 8:06 p.m. Be not happy with what you got. Do not be happy with what you got, I say. And I said that to Derek. It breaks my heart to see the flooding in Pakistan on TV, such devastation. This is the 5th anniversary of the Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. In Louisiana and the Gulf Coast. I am listening to Anderson Cooper in New Orleans live as I type this. And then I'm going to